Hello Pisces and welcome to my Body and Heart Tarot Therapy. I'm here to do the reading for January 2020, so Happy New Year to all of you out there. I hope you had a great end of 2019 and that you are able to have the closure that you needed and to wrap it up in a way that is satisfactory for you. Right, so I'm going to shuffle your cards. This is a general reading for Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. If it resonates, it resonates, and if it doesn't, then it's just not your reading. Do not try to stretch it or fit it in. Do use your own intuition, and you've got a lot of that, Pisces, to know how the messages apply to you, if this is your reading or not, and to take what works for you and let the rest go. Alright Pisces, let's see what's going on with you. King of Pentacles is your current energy. Well, hello there. Very grounded and abundant. Alright, let's see what's your challenge, Pisces. Eight of Cups as your challenge. Let's see what's your focus. Quite a jump. Your focus being the Hermit. See what's your advice from the world as your advice. And let's see what is your future energy. Where is this taking you? The Queen of Pentacles. Now, what do you look at that? An underlying energy, kind of what you're working with this month, is the Seven of Swords. Alright, I'm going to put all the clarifiers before we get into this, but I can tell that this Seven of Swords is your underlying energy. You may be working with self-sabotage and the way you've been deceiving yourself so far. Also kind of taking stock of your thought patterns and kind of what is your reactivity. If this point gets triggered, what's my usual reaction? Am I getting angry, or am I getting avoidant? Am I getting anxious? Am I getting do I go into rage? Do I dissociate? What is my pattern? This is kind of like what I see for you. Okay, so this is the deck that wants to help us with the clarifiers, apparently. Right, let's see. Why I had these cards here? Wow, that was quite fast. Right, so we have the Princess of Wands as your current energy with the King of Pentacles. We have the King of Wands. Wow, you have two pairs of kings, the Pentacles and the Wands. So the King of Wands is your challenge with the Eight of Cups. We have the Nine of Stones with the Hermit as your focus. We have the Queen of Swords with the World as your advice. A lot of queens and kings. And we have Aeon along with the Queen of Pentacles as your future energy. And bottom of the deck we have the Two of Cups, which in this deck is called love. Very well, very well. Let's get into this. So obviously the topic has to do with love. How are you showing up for yourself? How do you love yourself? But also how you're showing up in relationships. And in this case, I think it's closely related to a romantic relationship, but not necessarily only that, But it's an interesting one, because the Seven of Swords, see how this person here is like trying to get away with something in the middle of the night, and is taking these swords and is kind of like stealing them. And most of the time we end up stealing from ourselves when we do this, because we are avoiding some type of painful place within ourselves. This is how these patterns get triggered. But this is a 7. It's a sort of a spiritual challenge. You have within the power, the ability within your power right now, the ability to see this. It's showing up for you because you can digest it, you see it, and it may not always be pleasant, but it is, you are having that space of awareness right now to see how you show up and to see where have you been deceiving yourself, where have you been trying to hide parts of yourself in order to not be seen as the, I don't know, whatever it is that you don't like about yourself, you don't want others to see it too, and especially your loved ones, right? And it doesn't really work like that, and most of us do know it. It's just we do need a reminder every once in a while that we need to show up 100% of ourselves. The moment we start editing and we start covering up certain parts of ourselves, we're not being authentic, right? And these parts of ourselves feel rejected, and we are rejecting them, because we somehow think there's something wrong with us, which most of the cases it really isn't. It's just that we have our own little shadow selves and inner children that have been suppressed, repressed, and haven't had their needs met, and they're maybe complaining within. We don't want to come out as needy, or we don't want to come out as possessive, or as whatever it is that you are trying to not show. Or maybe having to do with time for some reason. I don't know what time comes up here. Anyway, I want to read this for you because in this deck the cards have a tiny bit different interpretation, and I like the symbolism involved in there. Now these are wands, cups. Alright, so the Two of Cups, I hope you see it, says the creative. The peacock symbolizes rebirth and balance. It is a fantasy bird emphasizing the importance of fantasy in love. Two cups show two people joining together in love. It means relationship, possibility, the need to make a commitment. Well, there you are. Maybe you're trying to move away from commitment. Maybe there's fear around commitment. Maybe there's fear of around that is involved in this type of relationships. Maybe you're afraid that you're boring and you want to come out as more fun. Maybe you don't really remember how to bring fantasy into the relationship because you're so, maybe you'll not allow yourself to be more playful because you've been so worried of how you're being perceived or something like that. But that's the Seven of Pentacles. Yeah, that is not the Pentacles, the Seven of Swords. That's what's bringing up for you this month. And trust me, this is good because this is what allows you to get unstuck from that space where you feel like hasn't been working for you and in your relationships so far. Current energy, you have the King of Pentacles with the Princess of Wands. And in this deck, the Princess of Wands is called Radha. We'll read that too. I don't want to read them all, to be honest. It's way too much, but I feel that some of these are quite important. Anyhow, the King of Pentacles talks about being abundant, being grounded, being able to build. He's the most committed of all the kings. He's the loving father, the creator, the builder, the provider even. And he definitely has no fear of commitment here. And if the fear of commitment is yours, then you're starting to get into your senses here, and you start sensing into what is that you really want, and bring yourself into that place where you can commit, because you bring yourself home here, now, present. Also, the Princess of Wands is like tapping into your passion, tapping into your creative playfulness, if that makes sense. You're bringing it up. I do want to read her, this Radha lady. Wait, there you are. Daughter of Wands. Radha and Krishna, son of Wands, are gods, but they are also human. It's so interesting how everything seems to be paired up here. So it's obviously a relationship, and I think it's romantic. So I'm sorry for those of you that are not in relationships. It may be also with somebody close to you that matters to you, but not necessarily romantic. But yeah, here we go. Radha and Krishna, son of Wands, are gods, but they are also human. They are young and in love. Their flutes are the power of Wands translating into music. Radha's flute blends the colors of the rainbow. The red dot on her forehead is a symbol of holiness and life. 3 stones over her forehead signify sensuality, motherhood, and wisdom. It talks about abundance, joy, good sense, culture. Abundance shows up again, and yeah, joy, culture. See how that works out for you. What I could give a guess, maybe you're coming from different cultures. The person that this reading obviously hints at, and maybe you need to playfully learn to integrate that, each other's like cultural differences, and address it, and learn to be curious about this rather than the victim of our differences. You know, it's so great to have differences, otherwise it would be very boring. Anyhow, looks like my music finished. Oh, sorry about that. Maybe you're gonna actually hear me better, I don't know. So yeah, I think that you're in an abundant place right now. You're in a place where you can address whatever it is that your mind is trying to pull you in. Whatever patterns in the past that had been happening, and you feel the call to do it again, you are able to learn about them. You're able to connect with yourself at a deeper level, connect to yourself from this place of abundance, knowing that whatever happens, you're going to be okay. And therefore, that allows you to be present in a different way in the relationship, and more aware, playful. When you know that there's nothing really threatening you, nothing, and you also know that it's okay to be you, just as you are. Not having to edit, not having to hide, not having to play any role. If today I'm not feeling great and I don't want to be very communicative or whatever, that's perfectly fine. I can put that on the table, and the other person will learn to be okay with it too. I mean, relationships are all about communication, and about, well, not all, but you know, the point is that communication is really important, and we learn by negotiating these boundaries and understanding kind of where we at, and when what kind of space we are able or willing to hold, and when, and that can change. What's challenging though for you is the Eight of Cups with the King of Wands, and oh yeah, this was the princess, not the queen. Got you. When I took out this, I was mentioning that there's the pair, but it wasn't. All right. So the Eight of Wands talks about moving away from a way of an emotional landscape. Let's put it this way. That you had enough of. And coming with the King of Wands, it may have to do with a persona, a type of self, a type of mask that you had to wear. I see this person here having like so many, well, it's Brahma, so many faces here, so many maybe incarnations or so many personas. And the King of Wands in the traditional decks talks about somebody who's really confident, really strong, really powerful, really, a bit too perfect in a sense, very sexual, very attractive, very this, very that. And maybe we think that we need to be that person in order to be able to commit, in order to show up from this beautiful place of love, and to allow ourselves to be seen. But we don't need to be anything else than what we actually are. Damn it, I'm gonna read the Brahma too. Yeah, I have this deck for a while, but for some reason or another, I find it challenging to take these meanings without this text. Where are you? Father of Wands, Brahma, is the creator in the Hindu trinity of creator, preserver, destroyer. He has 4 arms representing power beyond human limitations. I hope you can see it. His 4 faces blend. The cord on his chest and the white cloth signify the priestly caste. A scroll in one hand is religious laws. A cup holds milk, and spoon is to steer the milk over the sacred fire. The meaning is a calm person, possibly stuffy, a rooted quality that gives strength. Yeah, it's not that different though from the other. Sometimes the symbolism can be very different. It still talks about somebody who's very creative, who's a father of beliefs, who's very strong, and who's also very calm and composed, right? So maybe what you're moving away from is either a person that looked like that and kind of kept you trapped because maybe it wasn't a reciprocity or whatever, or fire sign of some sort. Well, it might also just be that you are having to and find it difficult to move away from this archetype, this expectation, either from yourself or from your partner. Sorry about that. My camera was full. Yeah, so you do seem to have the emotional stability. See, this person here is actually going into a voluntary journey, and he's guided by his intuition, and he's guided by his emotion. He learns how to use his emotion as a compass. He's had enough of what's in here. He had enough of whatever emotion he's been holding for most of his life in most of his relationships, and he makes a commitment to himself that he's not going to settle down for something that's not satisfying enough. He's going out there to look for the 9th cup, the missing cup here, and which talks about wish fulfillment. It's okay, we can and this doesn't necessarily mean breaking up with someone or leaving a relationship. It can simply mean learning how to not get trapped again and again and again in the same emotional trance. The way we cope with our emotions, the way we learn how to use our emotions as information can differ a lot, and some of us that are more emotionally inclined, and you Pisces are a water sign. Of course, emotions are playing a big role, and you're very influenced by them. Depends a lot on how grounded is your chart. Maybe you have, like with the King of Pentacles here, maybe you also have some more earth in your chart, so that would really help you to stay more grounded. But it can also be completely swept off up your feet from your emotional cycles. So Yeah. Maybe you're learning to not have your hit of the same emotional pattern. Think this thought, I have this emotion, and it's something familiar. Now you're leaving the familiar behind and you're allowing yourself to be open for new type of emotions. And with the Hermit and the Nine of Stones here, I think that you are learning to look within. You're taking your time to bring the healing. See, this is the star here into this lamp that the Hermit is carrying. And you can bring that light of awareness to the more obscure parts of your mind, to the more obscure parts of your subconscious mind, not unconscious, your subconscious mind, where whatever you are trying to cover up for here can actually retire, and you like the persona, the pattern is not going to be needed anymore, because you learn to heal the deep wound that you've been carrying. And that can manifest in so many different ways. It can be maybe having to do with whatever happened in your childhood that created that wound. And it can also be at soul level. It doesn't necessarily need to be only from this lifetime. It can be from several lifetimes. It can also be from first relationships or previous relationship. Maybe we get hurt in a certain way. Maybe we got cheated on, and we then are so hurt about this one way or another that we every time we fear that, oh my God, what if I'm going to get cheated again? And we try to somehow come up with ways to first not show that, but then I don't know, maybe jealousy comes out more than it used to before, and then certain behaviors can come with that in relationships. Well, this is one example. Other example could be fear of abandonment, or fear of being let down, or fear of whatever that is, You go down there and you make peace with whatever happened in your past. This is what the hermit does. He's going within, and he's investigating. Where is this coming from? He's investigating and he's healing. And it's very inwards energy. This does not include anyone else. It's taking some time alone and going within and letting go of the stories that are in right now with the people that trigger you, because they just trigger a wound that's already there. It's not their fault that you've been carrying this wound, and they're not doing it on purpose. Nobody ever does. Nobody's trying to hurt you. Not intentionally. They might hurt you, and because they carry their own wounds and have their own patterns. But that's the whole soulmate thing. It's not necessarily like happy joy relationships and the knight or the princess of your dreams. It's more about I can meet somebody that we help each other heal those past wounds, and we can do this from a place of kindness, and we can do this from a grounded place. And the Nine of Stones with material gain, it may be that this is your focus, right? Like you are really, really able to do this by yourself right now. You don't need outside intervention. The Nine of Pentacles in the weight deck shows that lady being in her garden and really enjoying the fruits of her labor. And with the here being called material gain, maybe you are finally financially stable enough to not having to depend on partners or somebody who you had to depend on. But I doubt it's that much about financial situation. I think it's simply more about being more grounded within yourself and having that inner abundance, where you know that you're okay, you're strong enough to leave behind this emotional baggage that you've been carrying and to heal that wound. You have the tools, you have the awareness, you have the resources. And when I say doing it alone, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't see a counselor. You could see a counselor or somebody who can help you through this process, but it doesn't mean that you need to depend on someone. You don't need to depend on your partner to do this for you, or anyone else to fulfill this need. You are able to do this as your own inner work, independent of the people that are triggering you in one way or another. And I think it's a big moment, because there was talk about commitment here, and there's the King of Pentacles is also very committed. And I think in order for you to be able to commit in a relationship, you need to be able to trust yourself. That whatever happens, however this person in your life shows up, you are not going to believe anything bad about yourself. And not necessarily about them either. You can understand that we all come from our different cultures, different pasts, different stories, different ways of dealing with our wounds, even if there's the same wounds, or if are similar wounds. Sometimes we have a similar way of dealing with very different wounds. We get to build up compassion, and we learn to not necessarily be the victim of our emotions here anymore. We learn how to feel them and let them go. They come and they go, and they come and they go. Your advice is the World and the Queen of Swords. And see, the World, she's in this circle within herself, by herself. There's like, I don't know, spirit guides watching from the outside. There's a symbolism, there's all this, but she's in this like almost like a boundary, and she's ending this cycle. She's learned the lessons. You do that by going within, by following your focus, right? But as your advice is like, okay, you've learned your lesson, you're letting go, you're moving on. And with the Queen of Swords is also an advice to learn to put your boundaries and learn to communicate them very, very clearly. And it's not about like waiting for you to reach that explosion point where you have to, go into that pattern, whatever that pattern was. So being aggressive, or being anxious, blocking people off, or being, I don't know, too clingy or something. However it shows up for you, you're learning to put the boundaries before you get there. We all carry wounds, we all carry triggers, so we can't really be expecting to overcome that just like this. It takes time, it takes healing. Sometimes wounds that we thought we've been healing can show up again, or people that trigger us in ways that we didn't expect can show up. But we learn about ourselves a lot in these types of interactions, and by learning to put these healthy boundaries, and by learning like nonviolent communication, learning to articulate what is it that you need is very important in order for you to finish your cycle, in order for you to move away from from your emotional baggage. In order for you to become into this playfulness and joy that you can bring on the table, because it's innately within you. But when we function from fear and from hiding and from trying to deceive ourselves and self-sabotage, of course that we can't afford to be playful and joyful. So this is your advice. You are to communicate what your needs are and articulate what is it that when you need more space, or where you need more closure, or where you need more, or something that bothers you. But before you go into your typical pattern, okay, you see it. I noticed that, oh, now I just got triggered. I see what my reaction tends to be. I retreat, maybe. I don't know if that's my case. Or I get incredibly angry, and I'm going in passive aggressiveness, whatever that is. These are just examples, and I see my pattern, and right now I'm realizing, oh, okay, I just think that here there should be a boundary that I didn't know it needed to be there. And I'm learning to not overstep my boundary, and I learn to trust myself that I can enforce my boundaries. And then I communicate it, and I know that this can be misperceived at times, but I'm taking the time to talk about it. I'm taking the time to go within. I'm taking the time to, because it comes from a place of love in the end. I want to be able to honor myself, and I want to be able to honor the other person too. and not use them as my punching bag if I'm getting angry, or to use them as another, just yet another evidence that whatever story I was internalizing from a long time ago is real, because it usually isn't. These are just wounds that need healing, right? I hope that makes sense. You have your space here, and you're advised to take the space that you need to look within. And yes, I know that sometimes we get super angry at the other people, and we're like, look what they did, look blah blah blah, they really don't respect, they don't really don't blah 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 blah, you know, the whole story. But when we learn to communicate our needs, and we take the time to sit with ourselves and to go within, and to understand that we are not we are not those wounded children anymore. We are adults that had overcome, I mean, yeah, that particular situation. And if I keep getting triggered, it just shows that I need to let my inner child know that I survived. I'm okay. I don't need to protect myself in that way anymore. I have the strength, I have the support, I have everything that I need. It's going to be a long reading, apparently. And as your future energy, you have the Queen of Pentacles and Aeon, which is number 20, which is judgment, basically. And this is a 21. I mean, wow, there's really like this new year, this January, you really feel the shift, and you're really closing accounts here. So that's great. And you're having the rebirth that you need. You're having the because you're able not to be nurturing with yourself, going through this process, learning to go within, bringing the healing, you get into that place of like super groundedness and connectedness, connected with the earth, connected with your body, connected with the truly knowing your value, and knowing that whatever the other people outside of yourself may say or think of you is not what you need to think of yourself either. At all, because you have a deep awareness of who you are deep down, and you are able to hold that in energy space, that very nurturing space for yourself, and also for this relationship to grow. And it's growing, it really grows. See, it just shows that like this card is like it's showing the water, and showing the fire, and showing like all this like rather grim weather. It's like you've overcome a lot, and this wasn't easy, you know, to go within. But there's new life coming in, there's rebirth, your own rebirth. Let's see what Rumi has to say about this reading, my dear Pisces. That's good work. That's really impressive work that you're doing this month. Really happy for you here. Okay, let's see. Commitment. We had the word commitment coming up from at least 2 different cards. And the King of Pentacles also talks about commitment. And yeah, there we go. Let's see what this commitment card says. This is number 31. Okay, so the poem from Rumi says, "The awakened heart is like a lantern. Keep it sheltered from the turbulence of the winds of desire." So the awakened heart is like a lantern. Keep it sheltered from the turbulence of the winds of desire. I think the turbulence is also this emotional landscape that we were talking about, and desires are those expectations that we were talking about. Okay, let's go straight to the guidance. There is a way forward on your life path that needs to be seen by you now. This is this challenge position of like having to move towards something or away from something. You might have already caught a glimpse of it, but be doubting your vision or yourself. This oracle comes as a reminder to you. Don't doubt. What you are feeling deep within the passionate love of your heart light is true. It is real. You are being led into by the progress of life itself. You must trust in this, even if it seems at times as though you are being led away from the vision. Life operates according to a genius that is beyond the linear approach. It is to be trusted rather than understood. There is enough challenge in the personal transformation being asked of you to simply take the steps. There is enough challenge in the personal transformation being asked of you to simply take the steps. These are the steps. That is more than enough. You do not have to also create or control the terrain, nor determine the map for the journey. You simply need to take each step that presents itself to you in each moment. Don't let fear that your desire won't manifest because you try to bend life to your will. It is an unnecessary battle and one that will not serve your soul here. Instead, just show up. Be present, attend to what is before you in each moment, and trust yourself. Let the light of your heart take you into serenity that will bring you the balm of a solid core of comfort, even whilst the world shifts and changes according to the working of divine will. As you move along your life journey, step by step, that divine will is moving you too, shining one, into fulfillment of your destiny. Life is not working at cross purposes with you, far from it. It is a co-conspirator with your heart. Come back to the stillness of the love within and know your heart light to be what it is, reliable and true, showing you the way even now in peace and stillness. I love this. So come back to stillness of the love within and know your heart light to be what it is, reliable and true. So when your mind is telling you stories of how you should be or what other people should be like and how it's trying to deceive you one way or another, when you're grounded in your heart, when you connect to, when you know yourself, and when you know that you're valuable and there's nothing that can ever change that, when you know your heart light to be what it is, reliable and true, showing you the way even now in peace and stillness. I hope that makes sense to you, my dear Pisces. If it does, please like, share, and subscribe so that other people can also benefit from these readings just as you did, if you did. Right, so again, happy new year, and I'll see you here again